and all I had to do was use my imagination.
I do not believe the conditions that produced a situation that demanded a song like that.
Hello everyone and welcome to session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randy Henderson and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And welcome to our, I guess this is meeting 10.
Yep.
Of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. Yay! And we are continuing our reading of Chapter 8, The Black Stork, The Eugenic Control of African American Reproduction. And if we can go around and just have everyone introduce themselves and tell me where you're from. Let's start with Edwina.
Hi, I hope everyone had a nice Easter holiday up here in Utah.
Thank you, Edwina. And Kim?
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm in New York.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, everybody. I missed y'all last week.
Missed you too. Thank you, Kim. And Randy?
Hi, I'm Randy. I'm watching from Atlanta, and it's good to see everybody.
And Vanita? Would you
Hi,
introduce?
everyone. I hope everyone had a restful and reflective weekend. My name is Anita Walker, and I'm joining you from Cromwell, Connecticut.
All right, thank you. And Michelle?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reading Circle. My name is Michelle Odom. I am one of the co-hosts of the group with Randy Danielle, and I am located in Brooklyn, New York.
All right, thank you. And I'm Georgette Moses. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm your moderator for tonight's session. We can get started on Chapter 8, The Black Stork, the Eugenic Control of African American Reproduction.
The Black Stork, the Eugenic Control of African American Reproduction. This chapter illustrates the various ways the reproductive freedom of African Americans have been assaulted by discouraging the birth of inferior Black children and by curtailing the fertility of Black mothers. Americans of various backgrounds and
Allegiances.
participated in this eugenics movement. Germans and Americans shared their flawed eugenics practice and beliefs, many of them evolving into current laws and social, economic, and medical policies today. Many women and men have been harmed by these codified beliefs with no compensation. Some of our own Black leaders were complicit in this. We still live with the false specter of the crack baby, stigmatized teenage girls as hypersexual, and chose to punish and medicate rather than counsel and protect.
Okay. Thank you, Vanita.
Would anybody have anything in particular to say about it? I guess I can.
I don't like the terminology. It's like saying baby kids. The baby, when what was his name? Robin Harris came out with that baby kids. He was referring to crack babies.
Well,
Oh, was he?
I thought it was about like babies, like her
Baby,
kids.
yeah, well, he was referring to baby and her children.
Mm.
Being
And she,
nuisance, being feeble misfits in the hood.
well, they got a lot of Caucasian crack babies, plenty. Which now, actually, Edwina, not to interrupt you, I hope I'm not, but if you read the papers in other states, heroin and crack addiction is so prevalent in the white communities, which is where it comes from to get to the Black communities anyway. So I don't take offense to that. I just want to know what we're going to do for these babies, because you have just as many crack white babies as you have Black babies, and probably even more. I'm not a statistician. I'm just saying from living in the area that I live in, that that be the truth. The question is whether what name you put on. The truth is there are babies that are born addicted to crack.
True.
So we can change the name to fluff it up and make it pretty and throw it around. The question is, how are we going to help these babies? And how are we going to help these mothers?
I mean, I was surprised as I read it. What I believe that Harriet Washington was saying that really there is no such thing as a crack baby, that the babies born to crack addicted mothers, you know, when you get down the line, and developmental milestones, that they are neck and neck with, you know, babies born to non-addicted mothers.
I beg to differ.
Well, before you beg to differ, did anyone else get that understanding out of the chapter?
I did.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you differ with what Harriet was saying.
I sure do. So, you know, maybe, I don't know if she could be the jack of all trades and the master of none or all, but I think she missed that one. A lot of crack babies that are born, and I can tell you from having immediate family members, or family members, not immediate in my home, that have had drug addiction problems, and I can tell you about the long-term and short-term effects that it has on these children. So I think maybe Harriet Washington should stick to what Harriet knows. There's some major
Okay, Anita.
Well, I'm respectfully saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I was surprised. I was surprised by her point of view, but, you know, I don't claim any expertise, though I have known in my family at least one child who was born to two parents who were crackheads.
Mm-hmm.
But the child actually is fine, which confirms what Harriet was finding. So, you know, I don't have any breadth of experience with it.
Well, that was a lucky child. I'm not saying all children have long-term effects from it, but I think that's something she took it very lightly. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know. And don't worry about it. That's what I thought she was saying. You know, we have more important things to talk about. These babies don't seem to have too many developmental problems. This is not a big deal. You know.
Right.
I didn't like that. So she could just, you know, whatever. Anyways, I'm done.
Well, I've taught in the school districts in California, and some of these other children that are stigmatized and pulled out of class to go talk to the school psychologist, and that's another reason why I said these are, you know, they use different terminologies, call them baby kids, crack babies, and so forth. And these children are so innocent, and they really don't want to be bothered. You know, they are just being victimized also by the school district using their psychologists to just basically harass the child. You know, and wanted to label child and put the parents in, I guess, a counseling and say that the child is ADHD or has autism or some form of deficits, intellectual deficits, and I just think it's unfair for the child.
Yeah. Well, one thing, Harriet,
Michelle.
One thing Harriet does not address in this book, I think because it's too big, is the whole issue of what is happening to our children in the public school system. That whole child study team, special ed,
pathologist.
Yeah, it's too big. I'm sure she could write another book the size of Medical Apartheid to deal with that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's called, and educationally, it's called inclusion. We have to include these children with these so-called deficits with the rest of the class.
Mm-hmm.
Children that aren't labeled ADHD or need speech pathology. It's called inclusion,
Mm-hmm.
educational inclusion. So they're included in the classroom too, but they're still separated in ways. You
Yeah.
know, and for instance, there was one kid. He cried every day, and his desk was in the back of the classroom. His desk was just in the back of the classroom. You know, and I had to give him individualized, one-on-one attention. Basically, he just wanted somebody to talk to that would listen to him. You know, listen to him, not try to analyze him and label him, and then persecute him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Send him
think
out of
so.
class, send him to the principal's office, and so forth. Or he just wanted to be a part of it, wanted to be treated like the rest of the children.
Yeah, I think so many children are being caught up in that whole child study team process. They tried to do it with my son, but he was too smart for him, and I was his mama. And so, I literally feel like I saved him from a life of drug addiction that the school system wants to put you. That's what they're doing. They're drugging our kids. They are drugging our kids. And just like with all these other experiments that we're reading about in this book, and we're really getting into current events now with these chapters. If we're not paying attention, if we're not doing our own research, if we're not advocating and asking all the questions, then they are going to turn your kid into a drug addict for behavior that certainly
It's natural kid behavior.
Yes. Yes.
Can I say something? I think that one of the issues that I'm hearing is that when the parents are off being crack addicts, there's nobody raising the child. So they miss developmental milestones. And those developmental milestones that they miss, they bring into the classroom.
Yeah.
And they may not have had somebody to read to them at night. So they fall so much further behind. And that same crack addict parent is not the one who is going to seek a third or outside someone to have the child evaluated. Because until you have a separate evaluation of that child to figure out what their actual needs are, they may need drugs, they may not. But you can't allow the Board of Education to decide what your child needs. And because, if you're addicted, you're sleeping at the wheel.
Yeah.
You're sleeping at the wheel. So where's the village? Where's the village for those children? And I just don't think it's an easy. I just hear how we all struggle with this, because it's just not easy, because the school system is not, what's the word?
Equipped.
Is not equipped to handle the kids who are ready for school.
Right.
Much less the kids who may need emotional
right.
And any problem that your kid has and you think that school is going to help them, you're thinking wrong.
Yeah.
So I feel for that kid, like Adrena's saying, I feel for those children, and the fact that somebody can give them a little individualized something during the day, they need it.
Instead of penalizing them and making them feel criminalized, making them feel, bad, making them feel that they're not a part of the group. I noticed that's very hurtful. and the kid can't function intellectually in the class. He can't read, he can't learn anything. He's combative.
Well, if I may say one thing, Edwina, that's where the village comes in, and that's why we have to create the village again. Because you cannot blame the school system. They're not there to raise your child. They're not necessarily, they don't have the capacity for all the children that are now having problems, and particularly in poor, impoverished areas, to deal with that. So that's where the village comes in. You can't expect the school system to have that kind of compassion. They don't have time to have that compassion. They ain't got the resources to have that compassion. They're trying to figure out how they're going to get a breakfast program in line for all the children that don't have people to give them breakfast in the morning. Not because they don't want to sometimes, but they don't have the money and the food for their children. So everything can't, you know, the children are all suffering. And that's where the used to be village comes in. The grandmother, grandpa, aunts, uncles, good neighbors, good friends. And that's what happens in the black community. So the black community needs to start taking responsibility and stop talking about what they're doing to us. Because what do you want them to do? What are they supposed to do? We got to come back together where we got good neighbors. You know, I was talking about the other day, Clint. You got plenty of time on your hands. You know, you go to work, you're an educated man, you're blessed. And he has ADHD, mind you, okay? And he is a college grad, and he's educated, he's bright. And they'd have had him sitting there in a stupor if I allowed it. If I allowed it. But once again, that's me. I'm lucid. That person that can't defend themselves because they're on drugs, what are they going to do? So that's why we got to step in, you know, and try to create a community again so that we can help. Because you got a whole generation or two of people on drugs. Even the grandmoms on drugs, because the grandma is old now.
That's right.
And the mamas are 12. You know, so we got two solid generations, I would say, of lost people. So we got to go past the rest of the stuff, and we got to try to get together, maybe see what we can do as individuals. You know, as a village, like we used to.
As a mandated CPS reporter, you know, I tried to make sure that I was not stepping into something that I could not change. I had perfectly no control over, and the breakup of a family. You know, I would never make that phone call. I always gave it to my the head teacher or the principal, someone over me, because I didn't feel like that. You know, that was my call. If you know, even if a child came in there, I seen one child came to class and she had like, you knew she had gotten smacked in the face, and you could see the mark. That was my call. We kept having class. That baby, you know, she wanted to go back home. I didn't know what really happened that evening, or you know, prior evening, or so forth. So you know, you have to be careful with breaking up these the home. I think that's a problem that we have in our community. The social workers busting up the homes and then trying to get the family back together. It's so tragic.
You're right. It's a huge problem, and we recognize it, but we're certainly not going to solve it tonight.